The galactic combat station called Eternal Glory floated in the darkness of space like a metal moon. It was massive. Thousands of ships came and went every day, bringing warriors, gamblers, merchants, and tourists from every corner of the known universe. The station existed for one purpose only: fighting. The arena at its center could hold 50,000 spectators, and the matches were broadcast to hundreds of worlds. Fame, fortune, and power awaited those who won. Death awaited those who lost. Worked in the lower cargo levels, far from the bright lights and screaming crowds above. She was 24 years old, with dark hair tied back in a simple ponytail and calm eyes that seemed to notice everything. She was not tall. She was not muscular. She looked like any other human worker on the station, unremarkable and easy to forget. That was exactly how she wanted it. Her job was simple. Ships arrived with supplies. She helped unload them. Ships left with waste and broken equipment. She helped load them. The pay was low, the hours were long, and nobody bothered her. For the past 8 months, this had been her life. Wake up, work, eat alone, sleep, repeat. The other workers on the cargo level were mostly aliens. Tall, insect-like creatures with clicking mandibles. Short, furry beings with 6 eyes. Massive slug-like things that left trails of slime on the floor. They ignored, and she ignored them. Humans were rare this far from Earth, and most aliens considered them weak, fragile, and uninteresting. That was fine with her. On this particular day, something was different. The entire station was buzzing with excitement. Even in the cargo levels, workers gathered around small screens, watching news broadcasts and talking in excited voices. The reason was simple. Was the grand champion of Eternal Glory. He had held the title for 6 cycles, which was longer than any champion in the station's history. He was a species known for their incredible strength and natural armor. He stood 2.5 meters tall and had 4 powerful arms covered in thick scaled hide that could stop most blades. His face was flat and wide, with small red eyes that burned with constant anger. He had killed 14 opponents in the arena, not defeated, killed. And now he was bored. The broadcast showed standing in the center of the arena, speaking to the cameras. His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. "I am tired of weak opponents," he said. "Every challenger falls in minutes. There is no glory in crushing insects. I want a real fight, a true battle. So I make this offer. Anyone who can survive 3 rounds against me will receive 1 million galactic credits. Anyone who defeats me will receive 10 million and my title." The crowd in the broadcast cheered. The workers in the cargo level laughed and shook their heads. Nobody would be stupid enough to accept. Was unbeatable. Watched the broadcast for a moment, her face showing nothing. Then she returned to her work. 3 days later, she crossed paths with the champion himself. It happened in a wide corridor connecting the cargo levels to the upper station. Was walking alone, carrying a small bag of tools. The corridor was usually empty, but today it was blocked by a group of large aliens. At their center stood, surrounded by his handlers and fans. Stopped, she could wait or find another way around. But before she could decide, one of his handlers noticed her. "Look," the handler said, pointing. "A human, how rare." Turned his massive head. His red eyes focused on with mild curiosity, like someone looking at a strange insect. "A human," he repeated slowly. "From the death trap planet Earth, yes." Said nothing. She simply stood there, her bag of tools hanging at her side, her dark eyes meeting his red ones without fear. Stepped closer. He was so large that his shadow covered her completely. "I have heard stories about your world, poison everywhere, extreme temperatures, predators in every corner, and yet you humans are so soft, so fragile, no claws, no armor, no venom. How did your species even survive?" Still said nothing. Laughed, a deep rumbling sound. "She does not speak, perhaps she is afraid. Wise, on my world creatures like her are food." His handlers laughed with him. The fans took pictures. Waited. After a moment grew bored. He waved one of his 4 hands dismissively. "Move along, little prey animal. Go back to your cargo boxes." Stepped aside and let them pass. She watched them go, her face still showing nothing. But her eyes followed carefully, nodding the way he walked, the way he shifted his weight, the way he favored his right side just slightly. She saw everything. Later that night, sat alone in the small room she rented in the lower levels. It was barely big enough for a bed and a small table. The walls were metal, the light was dim, and the air smelled faintly of engine oil. She did not mind. She had slept in worse places. There was a knock on her door. She opened it to find an older Korean man who worked in the logistics department. He was in his 50s, with gray hair and kind eyes. He was one of the few humans on the station, and he had always been friendly too, even though she rarely spoke to him. "I heard what happened in the corridor," he said, his voice worried. "Are you okay? Is dangerous. You should stay away from him and his people." "I know," said simply. Studied her face. "You are not afraid of him." It was not a question. Did not answer. Sighed. "I have been on this station for 12 years. I have seen many young fighters come here with dreams of glory. Most of them are dead now. The arena is not a place for humans. We are not built for that kind of fighting." "Thank you for your concern," said politely. "I will be careful." Nodded slowly, but he did not look convinced. "If you need anything, you know where to find me." After he left, sat on her bed and stared at the wall for a long time. Then she reached under her mattress and pulled out a small data pad. She turned it on and navigated to a specific page. The Eternal Glory Open Challenge Registry. Any being could register to fight in the arena. It was how unknown warriors made their names. It was also how most of them died. Looked at the registration form for a long moment. Then, with steady hands, she began to fill it out. Name: species human. Earth. Classification Class 7. Challenge requested Grand Champion. She submitted the form and turned off the data pad. Then she lay down on her bed and closed her eyes. Far above, in the champion's luxury quarters, his manager was reviewing the day's challenge requests. Most were jokes or obvious mismatches, but one entry made him pause. "Interesting," he muttered to himself. The entry showed a human female, young, no recorded combat history, working as a cargo handler. But her classification caught his attention. Class 7, Earth, one of the most dangerous planets in the known galaxy, where everything from the weather to the wildlife seemed designed to kill. Most species from were monsters, huge, armored, deadly. But humans looked so weak. The manager smiled. This would make an entertaining show. The fragile human against the unbeatable champion. The audience would love it. He approved the challenge request. The fight was set for 7 days from now. The news spread across the station like fire. A human had accepted its challenge, a cargo worker, a female. The idea was so absurd that most aliens assumed it was a joke or a publicity stunt. But when they checked the official records, they found it was real. The fight was happening. Within hours, the gambling houses were flooded with bets. The odds against were 300 to 1. Some houses refused to even accept bets on her winning because they considered it impossible. A few aliens placed small bets on her just for fun, knowing they would lose but enjoying the novelty. A human against the grand champion. It would be the shortest fight in arena history. Continued her work in the cargo levels as if nothing had changed. She woke up at the same time. She moved the same boxes. She ate her meals alone. The only difference was that now everyone stared at her. Aliens pointed and whispered. Some laughed openly. A few looked at her with something like pity. She ignored them all. On the 3rd day before the fight, found her was a young Korean woman who worked in the station's medical bay. She was 26 years old, with a bright smile and a cheerful personality that seemed out of place on a station built for violence. She had met 6 months ago when had come to the medical bay with a minor injury from the cargo work. For some reason, had decided they were friends, had not argued. Sat down across from in the small cafeteria where the lower-level workers ate. Her face was not smiling today. Her eyes were red, as if she had been crying. "Tell me it is not true," said. "Tell me you did not really challenge." Took a bite of her food. "It is true." "Why?" His voice cracked. "He will kill you. He has killed 14 people in that arena. Big people, strong people, warriors who train their whole lives. You are a cargo worker." "I know." "Then why?" Was quiet for a moment. Then she looked at with those calm, dark eyes. "He wanted a real fight. I am going to give him one." Stared at her in disbelief. "You cannot be serious. You will die. Do you understand that? You will walk into that arena and you will die and I will have to watch." Reached across the table and gently touched his hand. It was the most affection she had shown anyone in months. "I have survived worse," she said quietly. "Trust me." Wanted to argue more, but something in his voice stopped her. There was no fear there, no doubt, just calm certainty, like someone who knew something that nobody else knew. That night, alone in her room, allowed herself to remember. The memories came like flashes of lightning, brief, bright, painful. She remembered the mountains of Korea in winter, snow so deep it reached her waist, wind so cold it burned her skin. She was 17 years old and she was running. Behind her, instructors with dogs chased her through the forest. If they caught her, she would fail the training. If she stopped running, she would freeze to death. So she kept going, one foot in front of the other. For 3 days and 3 nights she did not stop. She remembered the jungle in Southeast Asia. Heat so intense that the air itself felt like an enemy. Insects everywhere, some carrying diseases that could kill in hours. She was 19 years old and her unit had been ambushed. Everyone else was dead or captured. She was alone, wounded, with no supplies and no communication. It took her 11 days to reach friendly territory. She walked out of that jungle carrying 2 broken ribs and a piece of shrapnel in her leg that she had removed herself with a combat knife. She remembered the facility in the northern mountains, the tests, the training, the things they taught her to do with her hands, her elbows, her knees, how to find the weak points in any body, how to cause pain, how to cause death, how to survive anything. She remembered the final mission, the one that went wrong, the fire, the screaming, the bodies of her teammates on the ground. She was the only one who walked away, not because she was lucky, because she refused to die. The memories faded, opened her eyes and stared at the ceiling of her small room. She did not cry. She had not cried in years. The training had taken that from her, along with many other things. But it had also given her something. Something that the aliens on this station could not understand. Something that would learn soon enough. Humans did not need claws or armor or venom. They had something better. They had the ability to suffer and keep going, to fall down and get back up, to face impossible odds and refuse to quit. On Earth, they called it endurance. The galaxy would learn another name for it, terror. While prepared in her own quiet way, Commander was doing research. Was the station's security chief, a Korean woman in her 40s with sharp features and sharper eyes. She had served in Earth space military for 15 years before taking this job. She was hard, practical, and very good at reading people. The human cargo workers' challenge had caught her attention, not because it was foolish, but because it did not feel foolish. Had watched the security footage of his encounter within the corridor. She had seen how the young woman stood there without fear, how her eyes had tracked the champion's movements with the calm precision of a predator watching prey. That was not how normal people looked at monsters. That was how hunters looked at targets. Pulled his official file. What she found made her frown. Most of the file was blacked out, redacted, classified at levels that even could not access. Name, origin, South Korea, Earth. Age 24, Military service classified. Unit assignment classified. Mission history classified. Discharge status classified. Only one line at the bottom was readable. Subject demonstrates exceptional threat adaptation capability. Recommend ongoing monitoring. Leaned back in her chair and thought about what kind of person would have a file like this. What kind of training produced someone who could face a 2.5-meter killing machine without blinking? She decided to find out. The next day, visited in the cargo levels. She found the young woman moving heavy crates with the same quiet efficiency she showed in everything. "We need to talk," said. Set down the crate she was carrying and faced the security chief. About what? About why a classified military operative is working as a cargo handler on a space station, and about why she just challenged the most dangerous fighter in the known galaxy. His expression did not change. "I am just a cargo worker." "Your file says otherwise. The parts I can read anyway." Stepped closer. "What are you really doing here?" Was silent for a long moment. Then she spoke, her voice soft but clear. "He asked for a real fight. Everyone in the galaxy thinks humans are weak, soft, easy to kill." She paused. "I am going to teach them otherwise." Studied the young woman's face. There was no anger there, no hatred, no madness, just calm determination, as steady and cold as mountain ice. "You might die," said. "Everyone dies," replied. "The question is whether you die for something that matters." Had no answer for that. She watched return to her work, moving crates as if they had not just discussed her possible death. As she walked away, found herself thinking something strange. For the first time since the challenge was announced, she was not worried about. She was worried about. The arena was full. 50,000 aliens packed the seats, their voices creating a roar that shook the walls. Holographic cameras floated above the fighting floor, broadcasting the event to hundreds of worlds. Billions of beings across the galaxy were watching. They had come to see blood. They had come to see death. They had come to watch the mighty crush a foolish human who dared to challenge him. In the medical viewing area, sat with her hands pressed together, her lips moving in silent prayer. Beside her, watched the arena floor with worried eyes. They were the only ones in the station who wanted to survive. In the security control room, Commander watched through multiple camera feeds. Her face showed nothing, but her fingers drummed against her desk in a nervous rhythm she could not control. The announcer's voice boomed through the arena. "Welcome to the main event of the cycle. In this corner, the undefeated grand champion, the destroyer of worlds, the beast of Tarek." The crowd exploded with cheers as walked onto the arena floor. He raised all four of his massive arms, soaking in the adoration. His scaled hide gleamed under the bright lights. His red eyes burned with confidence. He had never lost. He never would. And his challenger, from the known as Earth, a cargo worker with no recorded combat experience, YUNA. The cheers turned to laughter as walked out. She was so small compared to, so fragile looking. She wore simple fighting clothes, dark and practical. Her dark hair was tied back tightly. Her feet were bare. She carried no weapons, as was the tradition for championship matches. She walked to the center of the arena and stopped, facing the champion who towered over her like a mountain of muscle and armor. Looked down at her with amused contempt. "I thought they were joking," he said, loud enough for the microphones to catch. "But here you are, the little human. Tell me, did you come here to die, or are you simply too stupid to understand what is about to happen?" Did not answer. She stood perfectly still, her arms relaxed at her sides, her eyes fixed on his chest. Not his face, his chest, watching his breathing, watching his center of balance. The bell rang, the fight began. Did not rush. He had learned long ago that rushing was for the weak. Instead, he circled slowly, showing off for the crowd, demonstrating his superiority. He threw a lazy punch with his upper right arm, not trying to hit her, just testing her reaction. Stepped aside. The movement was small, economical, just enough to avoid the blow. Threw another punch, then another, each time moved just enough to avoid contact. She did not run, she did not block, she simply was not there when his fists arrived. The crowd began to laugh. "She is running," someone shouted. "Fight back, human." Some amusement began to fade. He was the champion. Opponents were supposed to fear him, to attack desperately, to give him something to destroy. This human was doing nothing, just moving, just watching. He attacked more seriously now, using two arms at once, trying to corner her, but flowed around his attacks like water flowing around stones. She was never where he expected her to be. For the first time, felt something unfamiliar, frustration. "Fight back," he roared. "Stop running and fight me, prey animal." Spoke for the first time. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "You telegraph your left arms, you favor your back leg, and you are already breathing hard." Froze for a moment. How did she know about his back leg? He had injured it in a training accident years ago. It had never fully healed. No one was supposed to know. The frustration turned to anger. He charged. This time he put everything into the attack, all four arms working together. Maximum speed, maximum power, enough force to crush a combat vehicle. Did not run, she did not block. She dropped low, twisted her body, and slipped under his arms like a shadow. As she passed him, her hand shot out and struck a point under his secondary left arm. It was a small movement, quick and precise, like a snake striking. His left side went numb. He stumbled, his coordination suddenly broken. His two left arms hung uselessly at his side, responding slowly to his commands. He spun around, trying to find her, but she was already behind him again. Another strike, this one to the back of his right knee, the bad leg. Pain exploded through his body. He dropped to one knee. The arena fell silent. 50,000 aliens stared in disbelief. The invincible champion was on his knee. The tiny human stood behind him, untouched, not even breathing hard. Roared and forced himself up. His left side was starting to recover, but the pain in his leg was getting worse. He turned to face, and for the first time he looked at her differently, not as prey, as a threat. "What are you?" he demanded. Did not answer, she just waited. Attacked again, more carefully this time, protecting his weak points, but had already mapped his body. She knew where every nerve cluster was. She knew where his armor was thinnest. She knew where his joints were weakest. She moved through his defenses like she was walking through an open door. A strike to his elbow, a kick to his ankle, a palm thrust to a spot between his armored plates where soft tissue was exposed. Each blow was small. Each blow was precise. Each blow caused damage that accumulated like water slowly cracking stone. By the end of the first round, was bleeding from 6 different places. His movements were slower. His breathing was labored. He had never been touched this many times in a fight before. Stood across from him, untouched. There was not a single mark on her. She was not tired. She was not afraid. She looked at him with those calm, dark eyes that seemed to see everything. The bell rang, ending the round. The arena was completely silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, the whispers began. "She made him bleed. No one has ever made him bleed in the first round." "What is she?" In the medical viewing area was crying, but now they were tears of hope instead of despair. Had his hand over his mouth, unable to speak. In the security control room, leaned forward in her chair, her eyes wide. "What the hell did they teach her?" she whispered to herself. Across the galaxy, billions of viewers stared at their screens. They had come to watch a slaughter. They had expected to see a fragile human torn apart by an invincible champion. Instead, they were watching something impossible. They were watching a small, soft, weaponless human systematically dismantle a monster. And the fight was only beginning. Sat in his corner, his handlers rushing to treat his wounds. For the first time in 6 cycles, He felt something he had forgotten existed. Fear, not of death, did not fear death. Fear of losing, fear of being defeated, fear of being exposed as less than he pretended to be. He looked across the arena at the human woman. She sat quietly in her corner alone, needing no handlers, needing no treatment. Her eyes were closed. She might have been sleeping. What kind of creature was this? What kind of world produced something that looked so weak but fought like a demon? The announcer's voice echoed through the arena. Round 2 will begin in 5 minutes. Flexed his 4 hands and tried to push the fear away. He was the champion. He would not lose to prey. But deep in his heart, a voice whispered a terrible truth. She had been holding back. The intermission lasted 5 minutes, but for many viewers across the galaxy, it felt like hours. Something impossible was happening in the arena, and no one could understand it. How was a small human woman defeating the greatest champion the station had ever known? In the broadcast booth overlooking the arena, a new voice took over the commentary. His name was Minyu, a Korean man in his 30s who worked as an analyst for the arena broadcasts. He had served in Earth's military before coming to the station, and he recognized what he was seeing on the fighting floor. He had trained with people like. He knew what she was. "My fellow viewers," Minyu said into the microphone, his voice calm and measured, "I understand your confusion. Let me explain what you are witnessing." The cameras cut to him. Across hundreds of worlds, billions of aliens listened. The human female in that arena is not a cargo worker. Or rather, that is not all she is. She is a trained killer from one of the most dangerous planets in the known galaxy. Minyu paused. "You think Earth is just another. You think humans survived by luck or by hiding. You are wrong." He pulled up a holographic display showing Earth statistics. Earth's gravity is 1.4 times the galactic standard. Every human is born carrying weight that would crush weaker species. Our bones are denser. Our muscles are built for conditions that most aliens would consider torture. The numbers floated in the air. Atmospheric pressure, temperature variations, oxygen content, everything about Earth was extreme. "But that is not what makes us dangerous," Minyu continued. "What makes us dangerous is how we evolved. We are persistence predators. Do you know what that means?" He leaned forward, his eyes intense. "It means we do not hunt by being faster or stronger than our prey. We hunt by never stopping. On ancient Earth, our ancestors would chase animals for days. The animals would run and we would follow. They would hide and we would find them. They would rest and we would keep coming. Eventually, they would collapse from exhaustion and we would walk up and kill them without effort." The arena was still silent. The aliens were listening. "We evolved to outlast our enemies, to suffer more than them, to take damage that would kill other species and keep going. Our bodies heal faster than any similar-sized creature in the galaxy. Our pain tolerance is so high that your medical equipment cannot properly measure it. And our minds," Minyu smiled slightly, "our minds are built to adapt, to learn, to find the weakness in any enemy and exploit it." He gestured at the arena floor, where sat motionless in her corner. "That woman down there is not just a human. She is a trained soldier from one of Earth's elite military programs. Programs that take humans, beings who are already the most adaptable and persistent predators in the known galaxy, and teach them to be weapons." In the security control room nodded slowly. Now she understood. Now it all made sense. "Thinks he is fighting a prey animal," Minyu said. "He is wrong. He is fighting a human. And humans do not fight to win. We fight to survive. We fight until our enemy is dead or we are. There is no surrender in us. There is no quit. That is what makes. That is what Earth creates." He sat back. "I suggest you watch closely. What you are about to see will change how the galaxy thinks about humanity forever." In's corner, his handlers were working frantically. They had injected him with combat stimulants, chemicals that would increase his speed and strength far beyond their natural limits. They had patched his wounds and numbed his pain. They had done everything they could. "She is just a human," his chief handler said. "The stimulants will make you twice as fast, twice as strong. She cannot adapt to that. Finish her quickly before they wear off." Nodded, but his confidence was shaken. He had felt those strikes. He had felt how precise they were, how perfectly placed. This was not a lucky amateur. This was something else entirely. The bell rang. Round 2 began. Exploded forward, powered by the stimulants coursing through his body. He was faster now, much faster. His 4 arms were a blur of movement. He attacked with everything he had, holding nothing back. And for the first time took damage. A massive fist caught her shoulder, spinning her around. A kick connected with her ribs, sending her flying across the arena floor. She rolled and came up on her feet, but there was blood on her arm now. A gash from where his armored knuckles had torn her skin. The crowd roared. Finally, the champion was showing his power. Pressed his advantage, attacking without pause. Another blow caught side. She heard a rib crack. Another strike grazed her face, leaving a trail of blood from her cheekbone to her jaw. She was taking damage, real damage. But she was not falling. Every time hit her, she adjusted. Every time he found an opening, she closed it. She was learning his enhanced speed, adapting to his new rhythm, finding the patterns in his stimulant-fueled attacks. In the medical viewing area was screaming, her hands pressed against the glass. "Get up, please get up." Held her, his own face pale with fear. "She is getting up," he whispered. "She keeps getting up." It was true. No matter how hard hit her, rose again. Blood ran down her face. Her left arm hung at an odd angle, possibly dislocated. Her breathing was labored from the cracked rib, but her eyes never changed. Those calm, dark eyes that seemed to see everything, predict everything, adapt to everything. "Why won't you fall?" screamed, his frustration boiling over. "Why won't you stay down?" Wiped blood from her face with her working hand. When she spoke, her voice was still calm, still controlled, despite the pain she must have been feeling. "Because I am from Earth," she said, "and we do not fall, we get back up." She moved forward. Despite her injuries, despite her blood loss, despite facing an enemy that was now twice as strong and twice as fast as before, she attacked. Her working arm shot out and struck's throat, not hard enough to kill, but hard enough to disrupt his breathing. He gasped, his attack faltering. She spun inside his guard and drove her elbow into the same spot on his secondary arm that she had hit before. The nerve damage from round 1 had not healed. Fresh pain exploded through his side. She kicked the back of his injured knee again, exactly where she had kicked it before. He felt something tear inside the joint. Stumbled back, coughing, his enhanced body suddenly not feeling so powerful anymore. The stimulants were supposed to make him unstoppable, but the human kept hitting the same spots, targeting the damage she had already done, building on her previous work. She was not trying to overpower him. She was wearing him down, like water wearing down stone, like a persistent predator slowly exhausting its prey. The bell rang, ending round 2. Collapsed in his corner, gasping for breath. His handlers swarmed him, but their faces were pale with fear. The stimulants were wearing off and the damage was severe. His knee might be permanently injured. His left side was nearly useless. Across the arena sat in her corner. She was badly hurt. Blood dripped from multiple wounds. Her shoulder was definitely dislocated, hanging wrong against her body. But she was breathing steadily, her eyes closed, conserving her strength. "She is still fighting," whispered in the security control room. "Injuries that would put anyone else in a medical emergency, and she is still fighting." On the broadcast, Minu spoke again. "Now you see, now you understand. Humans do not win by being stronger. We win by refusing to lose. We win by taking everything our enemies can throw at us and still standing at the end." The announcer's voice echoed through the arena. "Final round will begin in 5 minutes." 50,000 aliens sat in stunned silence. They had come to watch a slaughter. They were watching a war. And they were no longer sure who was the predator and who was the prey. The final round began. Rose from his corner slowly. The stimulants had worn off completely now, leaving him weaker than before. His knee screamed with pain every time he put weight on it. His left side was nearly useless, the nerve damage too severe to ignore. He was bleeding from a dozen wounds. But he was the grand champion. He had not lost in 6 cycles. He would not lose to a human. Across the arena, Rose as well. She moved with obvious pain. Her dislocated shoulder had been roughly pushed back into place during the intermission, but it was swollen and weak. Her cracked rib made every breath feel like fire. Blood had dried on her face, mixing with fresh blood from cuts that had not stopped bleeding. She looked like a corpse that had forgotten to die. The 2 fighters walked toward the center of the arena. 50,000 aliens watched in complete silence. Billions more watched through screens across the galaxy. No one spoke. No one moved. The entire universe seemed to be holding its breath. Attacked first. He had abandoned all strategy now, all technique, all pride. He attacked with pure rage, with the desperation of a champion who felt his title slipping away. His 4 arms swung wildly, trying to catch the human, trying to end this nightmare. Did not dodge. She did not have the strength for that anymore. Instead, she moved into his attacks, taking hits that would have killed a normal human but positioning herself to strike back. Every time his fist connected with her body, her own hand found a nerve cluster, a joint, a weak point. They fought like that for what felt like hours. 2 broken warriors, bleeding and gasping, trading blow for blow. The arena floor became slick with their mixed blood. Grabbed with 2 of his arms and squeezed, trying to crush her ribs. She let out a sound of pain, the first sound she had made all fight. But even as he squeezed, her hands were moving. She found a pressure point on his forearm and pressed, hard. His grip loosened involuntarily. She slipped free and stumbled back, clutching her side. Something was definitely broken now. Maybe several somethings. "Why?" gasped, barely able to stand. "Why do you not give up? You are dying, I can see it. Your body is failing. Just surrender and I will let you live." Looked at him with those calm, dark eyes. Even now, with her body broken and her blood painting the floor, those eyes had not changed. "Humans do not surrender," she said. Her voice was weak, but it carried across the silent arena. "We fight until we win or until we die. There is nothing in between." "Then you will die," said. "Maybe," agreed, "but so will you." She moved forward. Threw everything he had left into one final attack. All 4 arms, all his remaining strength, focused on a single devastating blow. Did not try to avoid it, she stepped into it. His fist connected with her side, and she felt ribs shatter. Pain beyond anything she had ever experienced exploded through her body. For a moment, her vision went white. But in that same moment, she was inside his guard. Her right hand struck his throat with perfect precision, not to wound, to kill. At the last instant, she held back. The blow landed with enough force to collapse his windpipe temporarily, but not enough to kill him. As choked and gasped, she moved again. Her knee drove into his injured leg, exactly where she had been hitting it all fight. The joint finally gave way, bending in a direction it was never meant to bend. He fell to one knee. She grabbed his head with both hands, ignoring the pain in her shoulder, and drove her knee into the base of his skull. Again, she controlled the force. Enough to stun, not enough to kill. Collapsed onto the arena floor face down. His body twitched once, twice, then went still. He was not dead, but he could not move. The precise strikes to his nervous system had left him paralyzed, conscious but completely helpless. Stood over him, swaying on her feet. Blood poured from her wounds. Every breath was agony. She was fairly certain she was dying. But she was standing. She knelt beside, bringing her face close to his. He could see her, could hear her, but could not respond. "You wanted a real fight," she said softly. "On Earth, we call this mercy. I could have killed you in round one. I could have ended this before it started. But you asked for a real fight, so I gave you one." She leaned closer. "Never underestimate a human again. We are small, we are soft. We have no claws, no armor, no venom. But we come from a world that tried to kill us every day for millions of years. We survived. We conquered. We became the apex predators of a—" She smiled just slightly through the blood on her face. "And now we are in space, and the galaxy will learn to fear us." She stood and turned away from him. The arena was still silent. 50,000 aliens stared at the human woman who had done the impossible. She had defeated the undefeatable. She had broken the unbreakable. She had proven that the soft, fragile, harmless-looking humans were anything but. Then slowly, someone began to clap. The applause spread. First one section, then another. Within moments, the entire arena was on its feet, clapping and cheering for the human who had shown them what it could produce. Did not acknowledge the applause. She walked toward the exit, leaving a trail of blood behind her. At the edge of the arena floor and were waiting. Was crying. Was crying too, though he would deny it later. They caught as she finally collapsed, her body giving out now that the fight was over. "Medical team," screamed. "We need a medical team now." As they carried away, the arena continued to cheer. The broadcasts continued to transmit. Across the galaxy, beings who had never thought twice about humans were suddenly paying very close attention. 3 weeks later was back on her feet. The medical technology on the station was advanced, and humans healed fast. She had scars that would never fade, and one rib that ached when the artificial weather systems changed, but she was alive. She went back to work in the cargo levels. Visited her there, confused. "You won 10 million credits. You are famous. Every arena in the galaxy wants you to fight for them. Why are you moving boxes?" Set down a crate and looked at her friend. "I did not fight for money or fame. I fought to prove a point." "And did you?" Smiled just slightly. "Check the news." Across the galaxy, every major news service was running the same story. Earth had been reclassified. The old designation, 7, minimal threat, had been changed. The new designation read, 7, apex predator origin, approach with extreme caution. Commander found later that day. She offered her a position in station security, with good pay and excellent benefits. Declined. "I did not come here for glory," she said. "I just wanted to remind the galaxy of something." "And what is that?" asked. Picked up another crate and carried it to the loading area. As she walked away, she answered over her shoulder. "Never underestimate a human." Watched her go, a small smile on her face. She had been on the station for a long time. She had seen countless warriors come and go, but she had never seen anything like the quiet cargo worker who had changed how the galaxy saw her species. In his private medical chamber was slowly recovering. He would walk again, eventually. He would probably even fight again, though never at the same level. The human had broken something in him that medicine could not fix. Every night he dreamed of those calm, dark eyes, the eyes of a predator wearing the skin of prey, the eyes of a species that the galaxy had underestimated for far too long. He would never make that mistake again. And neither would anyone who had watched that fight. On the cargo level continued her work, moving boxes, loading ships, living quietly. She did not seek attention, she did not want fame. But she had done what she came to do. She had shown the galaxy what a human could really be. And somewhere out there, among the stars, other humans were watching. Other humans who had been underestimated, dismissed, and ignored. They were smiling, because now the galaxy knew the truth. Humans were not prey. Humans were the most dangerous predators the called Earth had ever produced. And they were just getting started.